Hey there, Speedy. Liam was 20 years old and had all the restlessness that came with being that age. Small-town life left him unfulfilled. So he spent most of his time roaming the surrounding hills, hiking trails, or sitting at the edge of the woods listening to music. It was during one such afternoon that his phone vibrated in his pocket. It was 3 p.m. No one ever called him this early. Curious, he pulled out his phone. It was a text from an unknown number. "Come to the observatory," it read. Liam frowned. There were no messages before or after that one. Who was this from? How did they know his name? He looked up at the hills, then back at his phone. He had two options: ask his mom if she knew anything, or go check out the observatory for himself. His mom would probably say she didn't know anything, and lecture him about talking to strangers, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. About an hour later, Liam stood in front of the abandoned observatory. It was a large brick building with arched windows set high in the walls. A dome sat atop the structure, but most of it had collapsed, leaving only its skeleton visible against the darkening sky. As he walked around the building, he noticed small pebbles gathered around the base of its walls, almost like they'd been dropped there deliberately. And when he stepped on them, they made a faint humming sound. Intrigued, he tried other spots around the building, until he found a spot near the back where the bricks were laid in a circle. Stepping on the center stone generated the loudest hum. It was barely audible, but he could feel it vibrating through his feet. He walked around the circle, pressing down on each stone. They were flat and cold, seeming to suck the heat from his skin. And as he moved, he could hear the faintest of whispers. They were too quiet to make out words, but they sounded ancient. As he rounded the last stone, the whisper suddenly stopped, and in the middle of the circle, he saw a small hole concealed by overgrown weeds. As he brushed away the leaves and dirt, the opening revealed itself to be a metal hatch. He tried lifting it, but it was stuck fast. He pressed against it harder and it creaked open. Peering inside, he saw a ladder leading into darkness. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should grab a flashlight. But the text message hadn't specified a time. Just come to the observatory, and who knows how long this would stay open. Plus, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Liam descended the ladder, which led to a tunnel dug into the side of the hill. At the end of it was a heavy steel door set into the rock. On the right side of the door, there was a keypad next to a small blank screen. Feeling around the door, Liam found another small hatch. This one was slightly ajar. Curiosity overwhelmed him, so he pushed it open and crawled through. Inside, he found himself in a spacious room filled with large metal gears, cables, and pipes snaking across the ceiling and floor. In the middle of the room was a tall, ornate tower, connected to the rest of the room by thick cables. And at the top of the tower was a large glass sphere. Liam walked towards it, and as he neared the tower, he heard the faint sound of static coming from within the sphere. He reached out to touch it, and as soon as his fingers made contact, the sphere flickered to life. Light flooded the room as images flickered across the surface of the sphere. Mountains, waterfalls, forests, all alien yet familiar. As quickly as they appeared, the images disappeared, and the sphere darkened. Liam stepped back, awestruck. The silence was shattered by the sound of footsteps. Someone was running towards him. Liam whirled around and saw a man in a white coat rushing toward him. "Who are you?" Liam asked, stepping back. "I thought you said you were alone." The man in the white coat skidded to a halt in front of him. "I'm Dr. Ellis," he said, his voice raspy. "But you must be wondering why you were brought here." Liam stared at him, speechless. Ellis sighed. "There isn't much time," he said, glancing at the sphere. "Follow me." He turned and hurried through a doorway at the far end of the room. Liam fell into step behind him, glancing back at the sphere, which had dimmed again. "Why did you bring me here?" he asked, his voice echoing in the vast space. "Because you are our last hope," Ellis replied, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. "What do you mean?" Liam asked, frowning. "Why am I your last hope?" Ellis stopped walking and turned to face him. "You are the key to returning us home," he said, his eyes pleading. Liam felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean? You're not from around here, are you?" he asked cautiously. Ellis nodded, his gaze dropping to the ground. "We are from a world similar to yours, but we come from a time much further in the future," he said quietly. Liam stared at him in disbelief. "Time travelers," he whispered. Ellis nodded slowly. "We have been observing your world for some time now. watching you develop, hoping to find someone who can help us," he continued. "Someone who is not afraid of the unknown, someone who can understand us and help us fix the mistakes of our past." As he spoke, the sphere in the corner flickered to life once again, bathing the room in a soft light. The images were clearer this time, showing a world much like his, but subtly different. The skies were filled with strange lights and the buildings scraped the clouds. "That's where we're from," Ellis said softly, his eyes distant. "A world where technology and nature coexist in harmony." "But how are you here?" Liam asked, gesturing to the sphere. "How did you get to my time?" Ellis looked at him sadly. "Our ship malfunctioned," he said quietly. "It crash-landed here centuries ago and have been stranded ever since." Liam took a step closer to the sphere, mesmerized by the images flickering across its surface. "So this is how you communicate with your time?" he asked. "Can you send a message for help?" Ellis shook his head slowly. "It is too unstable," he said, his voice tight. "It can only be used for receiving messages." Liam's mind raced as he considered what Ellis had told him. Time travelers from a distant future seeking his help. Was it some kind of elaborate prank? Had he stumbled upon something dangerous without realizing it? Or was this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the future and maybe even change it? Suddenly the sphere flared to life, bathing the room in a blinding white light. Alarmed, Liam shielded his eyes and stumbled back. When the light faded, he looked up to see a new image on the sphere, a single word typed in a stark font. "Choose." Below the word was a timer counting down from 10. Each second that passed seemed to echo in the silent room. Liam turned to Ellis, his eyes wide with questions. But the doctor only shook his head slowly, his face etched with worry. "I don't understand," Liam whispered, his voice trembling slightly. "What am I supposed to choose? What does it mean?" Ellis reached out, his hand hovering over the sphere. "You will know what to do," he said quietly. "You are the key, Liam. You have the ability to shape the future." With that, the sphere flared again, and the image changed. Now there were two options, one on either side of the sphere, both with their own timers ticking down. Option A, save the many, lose the few, one read. Option B, save the few, lose the many. Beneath the options, more words appeared. Which will you choose? Liam stared at the options, his mind reeling. Save the many, lose the few. Save the few, lose the many. What did it mean? Who were the many, and who were the few? He glanced at Ellis, but the doctor only shook his head slowly, his expression grave. As the seconds ticked by, Liam felt a growing sense of urgency. He needed to decide quickly. But with each passing moment, the weight of his decision seemed to grow heavier. Suddenly, the sphere flared, and the image changed. Now there was only one option. Choose quickly, it read. Time is running out. The timer was down to 2 seconds. In that moment, Liam knew what he had to do. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and placed his hand on the sphere. As his fingers touched the cool glass, he closed his eyes and whispered, "Save the few, lose the many." In that instant, the sphere flared, bathing the room in a blinding light. And then everything went black.